6 games, undefeated. 23 goals scored in that time. Only 4 goals conceded. I think you'd be forgiven for thinking during that spell of time Manchester City have turned a corner at least. You could maybe phrase it like that. I got a little bit giddy and said, City are back, City are back. Yeah, of course. Fuck was I saying that for? Why? Why did I say that? Fuck's sake. We are so not back, man. That PSG game was the most dismal result in all of the results we've seen so far. Just the manner of the defeat as well. It was so disappointing. You look at the United game, just to cherry pick one of the shocking results we've had this season. It was mistakes from Matheus Nunes, the back pass, that caused the problems, and then to give away the penalty as well. Even the Sporting game, we should have been 4-0 up at half-time. We should have won that game comfortably away at Sporting. Instead, we lose the game 4-1. We give 2 penalties away in that game. We miss a penalty of our own. We go 3-0 up against Feyenoord. 2 Josko Gvardiol mistakes in the space of about 5 minutes gifts Feyenoord away back into that game. The PSG game, though, that was start to finish. Domination from PSG. We got battered. We're completely outclassed. It was toothless and spineless. And this is following a run of great results. 4 against West Ham, 8 against Salford. I know it's Salford, but still scoring 8 goals. Very good. 6-0 away from home against Ipswich. And I don't care if it's just Ipswich. Oh, it's just Ipswich. No, 6-0 against a Premier League side. No one's won any game 6-0 in the Premier League this season until City did. No one had done that yet. Not many teams are battering teams in the Premier League, but we did it. And then you follow it up with a performance like this, and it's just mind-blowing, man. Mind-boggling how they managed to put in such a crap performance, following a run of great results as well, and great performances to go with it. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. Pep Guardiola's pre-match press conference for the upcoming Chelsea game as well is hugely concerning, because he's so spiky now, so hostile. Every single answer. And I mean, I've got a problem with the media. The way media tend to ask managers questions nowadays, they're always loaded questions, aren't they? With some sort of agenda to try and get the manager to bite. But the media was so respectful. There was nothing. Everyone said, hope you're doing well, Pep. How you doing, mate? I hope you're okay, was the first thing that was said to Pep Guardiola. He just one-word answers. Anyone injured? Who? You know, really spiky. You know, are you confident? Yeah. Why wouldn't I be? Yeah, come on, mate. You can't be speaking to the media like that. You're giving off a very underwhelming and dejected aura around the club right now. And I know Pep Guardiola is going to be speaking differently to the players. I can guarantee that. 100%. He isn't going to be speaking to the players like that. But it's a very difficult narrative to spin and put a positive spin on it from a Manchester City perspective, because I'm always trying to look for the positives. But the pre-match press conference followed by follows the results against PSG. It's very, very difficult for Manchester City to say that we have turned that corner, and clearly there are problems. The great news is, though, the great news in all of this, following that PSG result and in between that interview and the end of the match against PSG, a certain Omar Mamouche was announced at Manchester City. Unbelievable news. Unbelievable. And we all knew it was coming, first of all, but what a player this could potentially be. Will he start, though, against Chelsea? It's really, really interesting. I'm not sure he's going to throw any of them in, actually, to be honest. I would be very surprised to see Kushinov or Rice starting this game. I can't see it happening. As much as our defence is a problem, I just don't think you throw 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds straight in to a starting 11 against Chelsea, who, while we're trying to get into a top 4, they've been here for 5 minutes. One of them doesn't speak a word of English. And the other one, like I said, they've both been here for 5 minutes. So I think it's incredibly risky and very presumptuous of Manchester City fans to think these 2 players are going to be our saviour for the rest of the season. That is a huge amount of pressure to just plonk right onto the shoulders of children, effectively. You know, they're not even in their 20s yet. They're kids. You can't expect these kids to come in and change the narrative around Manchester City. Omar Mamouche, on the other hand, different story. Different story. This is a 25-year-old, experienced, wonderful, wonderful player that's been getting numbers to die for, has been the envy of European footballers across the world with the numbers that he's been putting on the board and the goals and assists that he's been getting. You know, absolutely top-level superstar footballer we're talking about here that should be definitely starting to get minutes following the Chelsea game. I imagine if he doesn't start, it definitely comes on at some point and gets that Manchester City shirt wrapped around his body and he's now playing in a Manchester City shirt, gets the applause from the Manchester City fans, of course, that we need to give him that recognition. But will he start, though? I would love it to happen. I would absolutely love it. Let's have a look at the team news first of all, though, before we go into the predicted starting 11. So, City, Ruben Diaz has been confirmed out. That's huge. That's a huge blow. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he leaves the pitch against PSG and we completely collapse. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think the two are connected, to be honest. Jeremy Doku, out. Nathan Ake, out. Oscar Bob and Rodri, of course, is out as well. Kyle Walker was obviously out as well because we've all seen the pictures of him now in Milan. Chelsea. Maresca's confirmed that Romeo Lavia is out, but there was doubts around Levi Colwill and Enzo Fernandez, which would be a huge plus for Manchester City to see those two not playing. They're both fit. Enzo Fernandez is fit and Levi Colwill is fit, so that's a problem for Manchester City. They're pretty much got their strongest 11 available to them, Chelsea, now. Fofana and Mudryk, again, I wouldn't expect either of those two to actually start the game, but those two are out as well. Right, let's have a look at the predicted starting 11. I'm going to start with Chelsea. Robert Sanchez in between the sticks for Chelsea. He's a bit of a dodgy keeper this season, to be honest. I think we can expose him, have a couple of early shots, test him out, because I've seen mixed performances from him this season. He's put off a couple of good saves, but some of you really sloppy. And I'll start talking about the Manchester City goalkeeping conundrum in a minute when we start talking about the City team as well, because there's problems back there for me still, as we saw against PSG. Left back. Cucurella, fucking bushy-head bastard. Let's fucking bang one into the back of the net and hope that it comes off the left boot of Erling Haaland, who should be going over to his head and squeezing that bushy-head bastard's head and letting him know that he's bagged another goal against Chelsea. Toss in Adarabioyo, the man who's got nearly every single vowel in the alphabet in his name. And who else? Levi Colwill's probably going to come straight in. And Reece James, who's an absolute beast. He's a beast. I'm a big fan of Reece James. I think he's a quality centre-back. Right back, rather, but can also play centre-back. But yeah, quality player. Enzo Fernandez is back, and Caicedo's going to be playing alongside him. Caicedo, who's really found his form this season for me. He was very close to being a genuine failure at the price tag that they bought him for, as well as over 100 million. But he has definitely found his feet in a Chelsea shirt, and he started to perform for them. Who else we're going to have? We're going to, of course, see Cole Palmer behind Nicholas Jackson. If I can find them. That's the thing with this Chelsea thing. There's so many fucking players, mate. Can't fucking find that. I see one. It's Nicholas Jackson. You're going in. Cole Palmer, mate. Where are you, mate? You're just buried in a sea of human beings. There you are. Cole Palmer. Fucking hell, mate. How many players have these guys got? Unbelievable. Pedro Neto. He's been a thorn in our side. When he played for Wolves, he scored a couple of goals against us. I remember Ruben Diaz's own goal that came straight from Pedro Neto. He's been a very problematic player for Manchester City, and I think they're going to go with Madueke on the right as well. Manchester City. Let's start with the goalkeeping conundrum, because I think Ederson did really well against Ipswich and I praised him. I was very complimentary of Ederson's performance against Ipswich in the 6-0 win. Pulled off a really important save, and that's the key factor in the whole situation we saw against PSG. 3-0 up against Ipswich. Ederson makes a genuinely very good save. Difficult save. He saves it. 3-0. Moments later, it should have been 3-1 to Ipswich. Instead, 4-0 Manchester City. We go on and cruise through that game and win comfortably, you know. Against PSG, you're just waiting now for that one goal to concede. And as soon as we concede one, you can guarantee a second will come and probably a third. And in PSG case, they get the fourth as well. We just completely implode as soon as we concede a goal. The fragility, the mental fragility in this squad. You've got to visualise winning. They are visualising losing. The second a goal goes in, we visualise the loss. You can see it. It's just a virus that is spread throughout this squad. We've got to fix it. We really do. Ederson, between the sticks for me, I thought he should have saved that one. João Neves at the near post. I mean, poor defending. John Stones has got to do better and meet that ball, first of all. But beating at your near post like that was frustrating. I felt like Ederson could have done better with a few of them, in all honesty. And I don't think Ortega deserved to be dropped in the first place. So I'm going to go with Ortega. I'm not sure Pep will do that, though. But I'm going to go with Ortega. And I'm worried about Rico Lewis as well, because I think Rico Lewis' season got off to a great start, but he has very steadily declined to a very disappointing standard, in all honesty. He came on against PSG and he looked out of his depth. Really worrying. But I mean, he wasn't the only one, so we can't level the blame at Rico Lewis. But I still feel like without Kyle Walker, Mateus Nunes, who struggles to defend, to be honest, he's rash. He's overly aggressive in his defensive attributes. He's going to get booked. He's going to give free kicks away. He's already given penalties away this season, as we've seen. Multiple. One against Sporting Lisbon, one against United. So he worries me. But, I mean, I think he's a better option than Rico Lewis, to be honest, because I think what he offers going forward is probably worth it. Because coming down that right wing could be quite a decent weapon for Manchester City. Alongside him, I think we're going to go with John Stones. Like I said, I don't think we're going to be throwing those kids in just yet. And Akanji, who didn't have a great game either against PSG. Alongside him, Josko Gvardiol, and I think we'll have to see Kovacic. Again, a player that came off against PSG. Why? Is beyond me. Probably because he was rested for this game. But, I mean, as soon as he comes off, we start conceding goals again. Same happened against Brentford. We took Kovacic off, 2-0 up. We draw the game 2-2. 2-1 down, 2-1 up, against PSG. Take Kovacic off, we lose the game 4-2. I think that's a combination of him and Ruben Diaz, to be honest. But I would like to see Kovacic complete the 90 minutes, especially if we're winning. Do not be bringing off Kovacic if we're 1-0 up, 2-0 up. You leave him on the pitch this time. Surely the lessons have been learned in that regard. What we do now is going to get interesting, though, because now people are going to want to see this guy. Where can he go? Where's he going to be squeezed into the Manchester City side? Willie, I'm going to say no. I don't think Pep would throw him in just yet, purely because he's had, 2 days of training with Manchester City. Does he know the system yet? I mean, he speaks very good English listening to that interview as well, but I'm not sure Pep will throw him in just yet. I really want him to. I would love for Pep Guardiola to throw Mamouche straight into this starting 11. The question is where, though. So I'm going to go with Phil Foden on the right, Bernardo Silva in the middle, his season's just been very underwhelming as well. Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, he's got a great record against Chelsea, so you're hoping he can continue doing that sort of damage to Chelsea that he's been doing over the years. And I think Savinho on the left with Erling Haaland up top. Where Mamouche would fit in, though, is it depends entirely on the system, because I think you could see a straight swap for Savinho and put Mamouche on the left. I feel like that could work. A little bit harsh on Savinho to see a player come straight in. It might deflate the confidence of Savinho, who's not been brilliant lately, but he's certainly, the last 5 or 6 games is much better than the start of the season. He seems to have slowly, steadily found his feet a little bit in a Manchester City shirt, so it will be a little bit of a blow to his confidence considering he's fit. To be dropped straight away for the new guy. I feel like that's quite harsh on Savinho. Instead, you could see possibly Bernardo. It depends on the system. You could see a straight swap there for Bernardo Silva and put Mamouche in there. But that would therefore require, because you can't isolate Kovacic. The problem with that is, what we've seen is, but what we saw previously was Bernardo Silva was dropping against PSG, dropped alongside Kovacic to give him that extra support. Mamouche can't do that. De Bruyne can't do that. Foden probably can't do that. So you'd have to see Núñez pushing into midfield and inverting like that instead into defensive midfield, who's the best candidate to do that job from the 11 that are on the pitch right now. But what that does, it prevents Phil Foden from inverting, from coming inside. Because prior to that, what we were seeing was Matheus Núñez coming down that right side and Phil Foden inverting and becoming a bit of a right winger. With Matheus Núñez on the overlap and Phil Foden getting inside, but that requires Mamouche to drop. Mamouche can't do that. So again, it depends on the system. Where he actually is played is going to be interesting, if at all. I still think this would be probably the starting 11 for Manchester City. And I mean, I think the logical thing, if you're going to throw him into that exact system and you want Mamouche to play, I think you either play him instead of De Bruyne, straight swap, for Savinho, straight swap, or Foden, and keep him out wide and ask him to invert and get inside and allow Matheus Núñez to go inside. But I think Foden deserves to start. The football he's been playing prior to the PSG game, been playing very good football, was getting, 5 goals in 4 games for Phil Foden, so I think he deserves to be playing in this side. I think the same for Kevin De Bruyne. I think just because it's Kevin De Bruyne, you know what he's capable of. So the only candidates for me leave Bernardo Silva, which changes the system, that completely changes the system, or a straight swap for Savinho, which is kind of harsh. So it's a bit of a conundrum for Pep Guardiola, and I think the safest bet for him to do would probably just bring him on as a substitute and hope that we are winning the game at that point, so he doesn't have to come on and salvage the situation. What's your predictions, though, Blues? I really want to hear your predictions for this one, because this could be a crazy, crazy game. What I'm absolutely buzzing for, because I love the Premier League football, like games like this in particular, where it's like 2 defences that can't defend and 2 attacks that are full of goals. They beat Wolves 3-1 at the weekend. I'm doing a watch-along, of course, so come and join me for that one. We're going to see some feisty stuff this weekend. I'm really buzzing for this game. I'm going to go 3-2 City. I'm going to go 3-2 City. I think we'll edge it just, but I think it will be an entertaining game with plenty of mistakes from both sides. But what's your predictions? Get in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silverware.